Hello, good evening. Tonight I'd like to talk to you about community empowerment, about an inspiring little country called Estonia, and about an international civic movement called Let's Do It. But before I get on to that, I'd also like to talk a little bit about what has brought me to this moment, to the problem with waste and litter around the world and in this country, to Let's Do It, and ultimately to Bradford here tonight. I'm a wildlife photographer, specializing in urban nature. I believe that we have become fundamentally disconnected from the natural world. We live in a digital generation where people can tell you more about animals they've never seen in the wild than they can about those they might walk past every day. This is a shame. There's something wrong here. And so as a photographer, I'm not interested in the exotic. I'm not interested in the rare. They have their intrinsic value and they are important, but they're not what excite me. I'm interested in the common, the day-to-day, the underdogs. I'm interested in the judged. And so, as a photographer, I try to challenge people's perceptions of these animals so that perhaps, maybe, the next time they see them, they might think differently. And so it was ultimately my work as a photographer, working in cities, so much as I do, that led me to the problem with waste and litter we have in this country. I've been able to witness firsthand the effects it can have on our natural environment. And I believe litter to be a very personal problem. It's a very intimate problem, because everyone will have their own reasons for wanting to deal with it. Mine is for the conservation of urban biodiversity, to protect the animals that I see so much beauty in. And so with this reason, I decided to do something about it. Last year, I started an environmental campaign called Clean Up Salford. We aim to reintroduce people to their local natural environment. To do this, we run weekly cleanup actions, wildlife walks, environmental film screenings, day trips to local recycling centres. We aim to educate, motivate, inspire. Since it began, Clean Up Salford has removed 1 tonne of waste from the Irwell Valley, which is a little stretch of the River Irwell we work along in Salford. But I also noticed there was something else going on here. People were coming together. Clean Up Salford created a platform which allowed local residents to effect a direct change in their local communities. And I found that if you create this kind of platform, people respond to it. We're also interested in sustainability. And we try to blend sustainability with conservation. For example, we create wildlife homes out of recycled and foraged materials, like this hedgehog house. And this allows people to learn about sustainability. It allows them to learn about conservation in a creative, proactive, productive environment. Now, it gives me a lot of pleasure to say Clean Up Salford has been successful, but it's also taken me somewhere else, to something bigger. And that's Let's Do It. Let's Do It began in Estonia in 2008, when a few people identified a common problem. Estonia's forests were being used as dumping sites. Litter was everywhere. And so these people came together and they decided to do something about it. They decided to create a cleanup campaign. And their premise was simple. They would call on their entire country to come together and clean up in Estonia in 1 day. And that's what they did. On this day, 50,000 people came out to remove 10,000 tons of waste from Estonia's forests. To put this into perspective, if this waste was left to the authorities to deal with, it would have taken them up to 3 years and cost 22.5 million euros to deal with. But using the Let's Do It model. One day, at a fraction of the cost. Now, some people say to me, what's the point? Why should I pick up this litter? I didn't drop it. It's not my responsibility. If I pick it up, it's only just going to become replaced immediately. Well, the first Estonian cleanup proved that theory to be incorrect. The following year, 2009, the costs for the Estonian government to remove waste and litter dropped by 75%. And during the following years, that number only continued to drop. The problem didn't return. And now Estonia is a clean country. But again, facts and figures and statistics, they're important. But I also found that there was something more interesting going on during this day. People were smiling. See, sifting through other people's trash, it's not a pleasant experience. It's dirty, it's smelly. And yet, people were enjoying themselves. And that's because the Let's Do It model isn't just about cleaning up. It's about creating a platform which brings people together, which unites them over a common goal. It gives them a shared experience. And that's successful because it taps directly into the human condition. We're social creatures. It gives people a sense of value and a feeling of ownership over their landscape. And when people feel as though they own something, they want to protect it. Now, the visionaries of this movement went on to write a manual, How to Clean Up a Country. And this went viral around the world. Today, Let's Do It actions have taken place in over 100 countries, and they've engaged 9 million volunteers to come together collectively to work toward a cleaner world. 9 million volunteers and counting. This year, we're launching Let's Do It UK. On the 13th of September, we're going to carry out a nationwide cleanup action. We're aiming to engage 1% of the UK population, which is approximately 650,000 people. We're reaching out to charities, organisations, businesses, community groups. Everyone who is willing to stand next to us side by side and work toward a cleaner country together. Now, many people might say 650,000 people is ambitious, and it is. But we take inspiration from our other teams around the world. The Lithuanian campaign brought out 210,000 people on their cleanup day. Romania brought out 250,000. Slovenia brought out 289,000 people. That's 15% of their population that came out together to work toward a cleaner country. That's inspiring. And it's encouraging. But of course, we can't simply just keep on cleaning up and cleaning up and cleaning up. At some point, we need to move on. We need to move beyond. And that's why we need to start listening to these people who are talking about recycling and sustainability and zero waste, because these are essential components to our future. What Let's Do It can do is create a platform. And with that platform, it will bring people together, hundreds of thousands, millions of people together. And with that unified force, we can smash the perceptions of litter that have been stagnating for far too long. Litter no longer needs to be some peripheral background. It no longer needs to be a product or a necessity of the kind of society we live in. We can do something about it, and people have done something about it. And so, to me, tools for change. I think one of the most important tools we have for affecting any kind of change is quite simple. It's unity, solidarity, a wholehearted sense of togetherness that, if we apply ourselves, can move mountains. And okay, maybe today those mountains might be made out of trash. That's okay. We'll move them. But we can only do it together. Thank you.